Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about weird tentacles popping out all over the place, cryptic triangle symbols, and dudes in hoods, cultists, maybe Lovecraftian cultists, in Jeremy Gillespie and Steven Kostanski's The Void. Hey guys, I'm Adam C. This is Project Black t-shirt. Today's question, coming from The Void, stemming from The Void, is going to be, is it better to be entirely original, or is it better to be a completely compelling, well-made film? Which of those two do you value more? Do you value originality, or do you value just a good story well told? The Void is a good story well told, very, very well designed, very, very well realized, interesting and expensive and incredible looking movie. And it's become so kind of synonymous with being incredible looking. Its trailer kind of went viral. I had coworkers who knew I was into horror movies and aren't necessarily into horror movies themselves asking me, "Hey, you hear about this movie, The Void? You gonna go see that?" And of course I'm gonna go see that. But I didn't check out the trailer because I was just kind of sold from the buzz. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was saying how great this movie was. So I was like, you know what? I saw the poster. It seemed like it was gonna be cosmic horror. I don't need to be sold anymore on something like this. I saw it a couple nights ago. One and only screening in Philadelphia was at the Philomoka, a beautiful theater event space we have here. It was a sold-out crowd, really great crowd to see this movie with, a lot of horror fans, a lot of like-minded people in t-shirts like this one. The Void, Jeremy Gillespie and Steven Kostanski. I didn't know that I was already familiar with their work because they are part of the collective called Astron 6. I don't actually know how many people are in Astron 6, but I know I've seen their film Father's Day and Manborg, and these kind of incredibly ambitious and incredibly well-made kind of grindhouse video store homages. And what I think is great about The Void is that it's not that. It is a movie that clearly wears its influences on its sleeve, and its influences are, first and foremost, John Carpenter, but not just any one part of John Carpenter, but kind of beginning with like something like Assault on Precinct 13 and moving all the way through John Carpenter. You've got this kind of gumbo, mishmash, hodgepodge of not only images and plot points that get used in those films, but also generally like themes from something like In the Mouth of Madness or Prince of Darkness, one of those later cosmic horror films. So our main character, played by Aaron Poole, is a policeman who, his ex-wife works at this local hospital. He has to, one night he finds this guy in the middle of the road, has got to bring him in. He's injured somehow, we don't know how. There's something up with him. He's got to bring him into the hospital. The hospital's in the middle of shutting down, so they're kind of running at half capacity. It's just a bad night for a lot of stuff to go down, and that's where we get that kind of Assault on Precinct 13 kind of vibe, where a cult and some The Thing-esque body horror starts to happen within the hospital. The cult is keeping our heroes in, and we have this real, do we go deeper into the hospital, or do we try to escape and protect ourselves kind of push and pull. The Void, I usually don't like things that are pastiches or mishmashes, but the Void avoids all the problems that films that want to be The Void seem to have to me. The movies that come out, it seems like almost every other week on VOD, and they get kind of trumped up as like the next big throwback horror hit, the next big, you're gonna love, like, did you like Stranger Things, like things that are like Amblin movies, like then you're gonna love X, Y, and Z. And I feel like personally those movies are always working on a very surface level understanding of what makes the original content so great. The Void is its own movie first and foremost. The story of The Void, as kind of simplistic and beginning in medias res as it is, works on its own. You do not need to know anything. You do not need to have any kind of special reverence for the movies that these filmmakers so clearly enjoy. And that's why The Void works, I think. That and these effects are incredible, and they're really pretty constant throughout the thing. I mean, the movie starts with a couple of deaths right off the bat in one of the most confusing ways, where we're thinking we're seeing people who are villains, people who are like just psychos going crazy, and then we peel back layers and layers and layers, and these folks become our heroes. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of not only the movies I feel like it's deliberately talking to, like Hellraiser and the Carpenter films, but also it reminded me a lot of Splinter, which is a movie from, I guess now it's almost probably 10 years ago. I don't know the exact date, but Splinter was another kind of bottle movie, another kind of siege movie with a lot of creature effects and a lot of gore and a lot of well-paced set pieces where the geography was very clear and the stakes were very clear. And I think that's what The Void, at least the first 3/4 of The Void, does incredibly well. These are writer-directors Gillespie and Kostanski, and they, I know just through general like research and clicking around, that they have a background in special effects. They work at a really high level, but you wouldn't expect them, since it's co-written by, you wouldn't expect it to be kind of the world's best script, but they're incredibly good writers, and we have a lot of layered action and things that seem to happen out of nowhere, but then have big payoff later. And just the movie moves so quickly, and there's a middle sequence when we first see something with tentacles, something, you know, otherworldly popping out. One of my favorite sequences of the year, if not my favorite sequence of the year, and it just had me like, this middle portion of this movie just had me like grinning ear to ear, and even though it's like tense and terrifying, I was just very much the kind of drooling horror fan, like, this is great. I will say that I don't think that the last 20 minutes of the movie lived up to that build-up, lived up to that first half, but I think it just comes down to personal taste and the kind of horror that I like. It's not exactly quiet horror in the beginning, but things are a little less huge and operatic, which is what they put on screen is just incredible. This movie looks better than half the things, giant CGI mashups you probably saw this summer. It is a beautiful movie. It is indie horror cinema working at the highest possible level. But I will say that just the more out there ideas seem to get bigger at the end, but also once you kind of know who's been pulling the strings the whole time, which character's been pulling the strings, you know, what his plan is, his master plan, it just can't help but seem anticlimactic when you've had these incredible images and this mystery of just like, what is this? What's going on in this place? But I mean, that's a tiny quibble. This is a movie that I think is playing limited release. It's got like, you know, a couple theaters throughout the country, so it might be one near you. At the very least, it's VOD and iTunes and all that rental stuff today, I think. So, yeah, by all means, this is a movie you should rent. This is a movie you should check out. The Void. Practical effects out the yin-yang. I still haven't seen the trailer, but I'm guessing they give a lot of these kind of money shots away in the trailer. If this sounds like something you're interested in, I would say don't even watch the trailer. Just go rent it, because like part of the joy is seeing all these weird creatures and all these cool effects and how they present them and how they figure into the plot. It's the kind of movie where there's going to be, like, a couple years from now, there's going to be a ton of action figures for The Void, because it just has cool looking things put on screen. And the story and the characters and the actors and everything else is pretty good to boot. So it's just all a bonus. All that silicone and caro syrup is just kind of gravy on this already super well made film. This week's book recommendation. Only one of these stories, maybe a few. Only one of these stories is explicitly linked or will explicitly appeal to fans of The Void. This is Entropy in Bloom, the new collection from Jeremy Robert Johnson. And I say new, but I have read, own a lot of these stories before. It's a collection of short stories. The story in here, I think if you're into The Void, that you should really check out is When Susurrus Stirs. There is going to be, or somehow is, but I don't know if it's available to watch. There is a short film version of this story in here. It is one of the coolest body horror stories ever. Jeremy Robert Johnson, I think, writes some of the best short fiction going. He's not explicitly a horror guy. There are stories in here that kind of run the gamut. They're all mostly speculative. There's like some futurism in here. There's some kind of Chuck Palahniuk hard-boiledness. And what I didn't know when I bought this, there's actually a whole novella in here that no one's read because it's original to this edition. It's almost like, I looked it up, it's almost like 60 pages So I bought this edition thinking like, oh, it'll be nice to have like these stories in a hardcover, but I didn't know I was getting something new that I haven't read. Yeah, one of my favorite writers, and if you haven't checked him out, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. That's Entropy and Bloom. I'll put, like I do with everything, I'll put the links in the description. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, please subscribe and go back and check all my other stuff out. There's no shelf life, really. I talk about new releases mostly, but if you haven't seen them, they're new to you. I'm Adam Caesar. I write books. I've written a bunch of books. I have books and paperbacks and ebooks and hardcovers and stuff for you to buy if you go check out my website. If you don't want to buy something by someone you haven't read, you can go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, get a free little ebook that's got a couple short stories and a novel preview in there. And I would appreciate it. All right, until next week, I'm Adam Caesar. Have a good one.